Good morning, students. Students, today I am here with a new topic, and the last one, very important one, division of kingdom plenty, and the topic is angiosperms. Okay, student, I want to tell you that this is the most advanced division of the flowering plants. Means in this division of the plants, the most advanced type of plants are kept, and their most important characteristic feature is that they all bear flowers. ठीक है. Now I am going to tell you some other important features about angiosperms. Initially, I want to tell you that these are highly evolved plants. Means they are the most evolved plants, primarily adapted to terrestrial habitat, and these are the most or advanced. I have to say that, or well adapted plants, and most of them are adapted to live in the terrestrial habitat, or they are adapted to live in the land. ठीक है. And Wolfia is the smallest angiosperm, and 1 millimeter is the size of the plant approximately, while eucalyptus grows to over 100 meters, and red sequoia is a plant which is the tallest plant basically, and except that eucalyptus plants are too much tall and they reach about 100 meters in length. So there is a quite distinction between their length also, and we can say that quite variability is there in their length of the plant. Wolfia is the smallest angiospermic plant, while eucalyptus are the tallest or the longest angiospermic plants, which reach till 100 meters in length. ठीक है. And the plant body is well differentiated into root, stem and leaves, and it has flowers, fruits and seeds. So these are the characteristic features of the angiosperms. Root, shoot and stems are started from the pteridophytes. Gymnosperm also be a root, shoot and root, stem and leaves. Whereas similarly, angiosperms are also having root, stem and leaves. But the most important characteristic feature is that they have flowers, they have fruits and they have seeds. ठीक है. And their vascular tissues are also well developed or well evolved. I have to say that. As you recall, you studied in the case of the pteridophytes, and you studied in the case of gymnosperms. They have only tracheids in xylem, ठीक है, as well as the phloem contains only sieve tubes, but along with the tracheids it has vessels too. ठीक है. The xylem of angiosperms contain vessels too along with the trachea or tracheids. Similarly, the phloem of the angiosperm along with the sieve tube it contains companion cells too. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे एडिशनली आपको कंपेनियन सेल्स भी देखने को मिलेंगी. And this is the structure of a mustard plant, and you can easily observe flowers, fruits, stem, leaf, or the complete shoot system as well as the root system having primary root and secondary root. Okay, now I'm talking about the life cycle of angiosperm. So you will observe here that it is a heteromorphic plant, and it shows a heteromorphic alternation of generation. Means it has two different phases in its life cycle, as we were studying in the earlier cases too. ठीक है. The first one phase is haploid phase, and the second one phase is diploid phase. Haploid phase is also called as gametophytic phase, while the diploid phase is called as sporophytic phase. Here, in case of angiosperms, the haploid phase or gametophytic stage is recessive, means it is for a very short duration of time, while the sporophytic is the dominant phase, and the main photosynthetic plant body remains in it or remains in the phase of the sporophytic phase. ठीक है. Now I am going to explain one by one. If you will observe the plant, there is a plant, and it's a mustard plant, and a mustard plant is a bisexual plant. So I am going to tell you about the life cycle of a bisexual plant. ठीक है. The plant is a bisexual plant, and it will have two different kinds of sexual organ in the same flower. Means it will have pistil as well as it will have stamen. Pistil is the female reproductive part, and the stamen is referred as male reproductive part. And you are very much familiar with the structure of the pistil. Stigma, style and ovary you are observing here, and inside the ovary the female gamete, means the ovum production or the ovule production takes place. Similarly, stamen is the male reproductive part, whereas it has two parts are here, anther and filament. Inside the anther, microspores or male gamete or pollen grains are going to be germinate. Now I am going to explain. You are observing from anther microspore, inside the anther microsporangium are there. What are microsporangium? You know very well that microsporangium means microspore mother cell, means male gamete mother cell, means pollen mother cell, which are finally going to germinate microspore or pollen grains. Is it clear? Similarly, the inside the ovule mother cells means megaspore mother cells are there, which are finally undergoing division and they are forming egg. ठीक है. Now here you can see that this is the gametophytic phase. एंथर के अंदर आप माइक्रोस्पोरेंजियम देख रहे हैं. माइक्रोस्पोरेंजियम आर प्रोड्यूसिंग माइक्रोस्पोर्स एंड माइक्रोस्पोर्स आर फाइनली इनक्लोज इनसाइड द pollen grain. ठीक है. नाउ हेयर इन केस ऑफ द फीमेल यू आर ऑब्जर्विंग मेगास्पोर मदर सेल. मेगास्पोर मदर सेल में एम्ब्रियो शैक होता है. फाइनली इट फॉर्म्स एग and during the process of the fertilization this pollen grain releases the male gamete. Are you observing there are two male gametes inside the pollen grain? You must have to remember it. ठीक है. And these male gametes are fusing with the egg and they are forming zygote. Zygote is developing into embryo and embryo is located inside the seed and which is finally developing or germinating into new plant. So here from the zygote you are observing the diplontic stage or the sporophytic stage is going on, and you can easily observe that the plants remains for long period of time in the diploid stage. This is the complete life cycle of angiosperms. Now I want to explain some terms related to the uh, sexual reproduction in the angiospermic plant. ठीक है. You are observing here are two flowers. One is male flower and another is female flower. Inside the male flower, inside the inside the anther of the stamen, ठीक है, the microspore mother cells are there which are forming finally four microspores which are called as male gametes. ठीक है. And these male gametes are developing, or these male gametes are enclosed inside the pollen grain, and this is the structure of the human female, sorry, not human female, it's a female reproductive system of a flower. ठीक है. Inside the ovary. ठीक है. Microsporangium is there. Microsporangium undergoes meiotic division and forms. ठीक है. Four haploid cells. Out of these four haploid cells, three daughter cells will degenerate and only one cell will grow, or it will develop as a mature embryo sac or ovum. ठीक है. Now this topic you will study in the class 12, so I am not going in detail. So now actually what happens, as you know that during the what is pollination means transfer of pollen from anther to stigma is called as pollination. And whenever the pollination occurs, the pollen grain from the anther of the plant reaches into the stigma of the flower. ठीक है. And after that pollen germination occurs, and after pollen germination two male gametes are released as you are observing in the figure. ठीक है. Out of these two male gametes, one male gamete fuses with the egg cell which is located at the micropylar end. ठीक है. And while the another male gamete fuses with the polar nuclei and forms primary endospermic nucleus pan. ठीक है. Here two types of fertilization is taking place. The first type of fertilization between the pollen grain, sorry, not the first kind of fertilization is going to take place with the along with the male gamete as well as the egg cell nucleus. This is called syngamy. And another kind of fertilization is taking place between the two polar nuclei and one male gamete. Three nucleuses are fusing here, so it is also called as triple fusion. And two types of fertilization, one is syngamy and one is triple fusion, so that's why the process is called as double fertilization. Okay. After fertilization or after the syngamy, the egg cell converts into zygote and the zygote finally develops into embryo, while the primary endospermic nucleus means which was developed due to the fusion of two polar nuclei and one male gamete. ठीक है. Whose ploidy is 3n, because one n is from the one polar nuclei, one n from the one polar nuclei and one n from the another male gamete. ठीक है. So the endosperm nourishes the developing embryo. ठीक है. Here you can observe. Now in the first one figure you can observe from here, this is the first one figure, this is the female reproductive tract. ठीक है. Here you the oval structure is embryo sac, and inside the embryo sac you are observing the various cells are there. Green cells are called as synergids, orange colored cell is called as egg cell. ठीक है. And the two nucleuses you are observing at the center, these are polar nuclei, and the three cells are at the top. ठीक है. Which are called as antipodal cells. You are observing the pollen tube is going on. ठीक है. Pollen tube has you are observing generative cell, and generative cell finally divides and it will forms two male gametes. ठीक है. In the next video you can easily observe here are two male gametes. ठीक है. नाउ दीज टू मेल गैमेट्स विल एंटर वन ऑफ द यू आर ऑब्जर्विंग देयर आर टू सिनर्जिड्स. तो किसी एक सिनर्जिड में आपकी ये पोलन ट्यूब एंटर करेगी. ठीक है. एंड पोलन एंड सिनर्जिड्स विल गाइड द पोलन ट्यूब. यू आर ऑब्जर्विंग दोनों के दोनों मेल गैमेट यहाँ पहुँच चुके हैं. नाउ आउट ऑफ दीज टू मेल गैमेट वन मेल गैमेट इज फ्यूजिंग विद द एक्सेल. ठीक है. एंड आफ्टर दैट व्हाट हैपन्स द सिनर्जिड्स after the syngamy or after the fusion of the egg cell with the male gamete. ठीक है. एंड जाइगोट फॉर्मेशन सिनर्जिड जो होता है डिसअपियर होता है. एंड जो आपका दूसरा मेल गैमेट होता है नाउ इट रीचेस टू द पोलर न्यूक्लियाई एंड हेयर ट्रिपल फ्यूजन occurs. So in this way you are observing how the life cycle takes place, and after that, after the fertilization, post fertilization event take place, the other flowering plants like sepals, petals, and stamen start to degenerate, and the fertilized ovule develops into zygote. Zygote finally develops into embryo. ठीक है. And we can say that the embryo or the fertilized ovule develops into seeds. ठीक है. While the ovarian wall develops into fruit. ठीक है. एंड द रेस्ट ऑफ द फ्लावरिंग पार्ट स्टार्ट टू डीजनरेट. ठीक है. नाउ एंजियोस्पर्म्स आर क्लासिफाइड इनटू टू कैटेगरीज, डाइकोटिलीडन्स एंड मोनोकोटिलीडन्स. नाउ आई वांट टू टेल यू द डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन देम वेरी क्विकली. सो ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द नंबर ऑफ द कोटिलीडन्स प्रेजेंट इन द एम्ब्रियो. ठीक है. द plants may be of two types, dicots and monocots. Dicots have two cotyledons in the embryo, while monocots have only single cotyledon in the embryo. And if you will observe the roots of the dicot plant, there will be taproot system. In case of the monocot plant, there will be fibrous root system or adventitious root system. ठीक है. And stems are branched in case of the dicots, while stems are unbranched in case of the monocots. ठीक है. If you will observe the leaves of dicot plant, inside the in the leaves you will observe parallel venation, while in case of the monocot leaf you will observe in case of dicot you will observe reticulate venation. In case of monocot you will observe parallel venation. ठीक है. Flowers are pentamerous in case of dicot plants, why these are trimerous in case of monocot plants. What is pentamerous? मतलब in the multi the sepals or petals will be in the multiple of 5. ठीक है. और while what is trimerous, the petals or sepals inside the flower will be present in the multiple of 3. ठीक है. Now in dicot plant, vascular bundle. What are vascular bundles? Xylem and phloems are called as vascular bundles. They are conjoined, collateral and open. Conjoined और collateral का मतलब होता है जब एक ही रेडियस पे प्रेजेंट होते हैं. ठीक है. लाइक आप स्टेम का एक ट्रांसवर्स सेक्शन लेंगे तो आपको एक स्पेरिकल स्ट्रक्चर दिखेगा. जब एक ही रेडियस में आपको आपको जाइलम और फ्लोएम दोनों नजर आएंगे. दीज आर दिस इट मीन्स कंजॉइंट और कोलेट्रल. एंड ये दो तरह का हो सकता है, ओपन और क्लोज्ड. तो डाइकोट में ही ओपन होता है. ओपन का मतलब क्या होता है कि देर इज़ नो कैम्बियम रिंग बिटवीन the xylem and phloem. Sorry, there is a cambium ring between the xylem and phloem. While what is the meaning of closed? Where there is no cambium ring which is participating in the secondary growth is present in monocot. तो in simple words I have to say that तो यानी कि कैम्बियम की रिंग एब्सेंट होती है इन केस ऑफ मोनोकोट और प्रेजेंट होती है इन केस ऑफ डाइकोट. ठीक है. तो as I mentioned earlier, due to the cambium ring, secondary growth takes place in case of dicots and it is absent in monocots. ठीक है. It's enough for angiosperms. I think all the topics are clear, and revise it. And if you feel any difficulty, you can still ask me questions. Till then, thank you and bye bye.